What's up guys, Donnie B here. Today we're going to be going over what I believe to be one of the smartest smartphones on the market, the Pixel 8 Pro. Now it's not without its limitations, but for the first time for me, it finally feels like a flagship device. Let's start by going over some of the specs, then we'll get into some real world use. I've also been working on a camera comparison with the S23 Ultra, so make sure you're subscribed while you hit that thumbs up down below. Also, this video is not sponsored, and we did purchase this for Lauren to use since she's been Team Pixel since the Pixel 3. So not sponsored by Google, and we purchased this with our own money. At this point, it's pretty obvious that Google has found its stride with the design of the Pixel. It still retains that camera bar across the back and has the same 6.7 inch almost 1440p display as last year. But this time they're calling it the Super Actual Display, and it's a 20:9 LTPO that ranges from 1 to 120 Hertz with a peak brightness of 2400 nits and 1600 nits in HDR. For a moment, it was the brightest display available until OnePlus announced the Open with its 2800 nits. Pixel density is down from the 7 Pro at 489 ppi, but you would never notice. This is by far the best display I've ever seen on a Pixel. The glass is Gorilla Glass Victus 2, which means it's probably going to be pretty tough against drops, but coins or keys in your pocket will wreak havoc with micro scratches. Fortunately, they've done away with the curved edge and gone back to a flat display. And I remember when curved display was all the rage. I think it was the Samsung S7, and now everyone is stoked on the flat screens again. Funny how history repeats itself. You can choose between 3 colorways. There's porcelain, obsidian, and this gorgeous blue they are calling bay. They're obviously very proud of bay because every single review that I've seen has been this blue one. And I'm not hating. This is actually my favorite blue that I've ever seen on a phone. And honestly, I'm a bit jealous. At the bottom, you still have the underglass fingerprint reader. It's still optical, but it is pretty accurate, and Face ID has made its way in. Now you're able to use it to not just unlock your device, but also logging into secure apps such as banking. Security is a major talking point about the newer Pixel devices thanks to the Titan M2 chip, which keeps all your personal data off the main SoC, so even if you were to click a malicious link, things like credit card numbers and personal information are safe. Performance comes from a 9-core 3rd generation Tensor G3 and 12 gigs of DDR5 RAM. Base storage is 128 gigs, but you can upgrade to 256, 512, or even a full terabyte. All this is powered by a 5050 milliamp hour battery that can charge 30 watts wired or 15 watts wireless. There's also reverse wireless charging that works great for charging things like Pixel Buds or even your watch. Battery life is something you shouldn't worry about though. I was averaging around 7 hours screen on time and still finishing the day at around 20%. Although I will say that the Pixel is notorious for battery life degrading over time after a few updates. Speaking of updates, Google is promising 7 years worth of OS updates, and in order to stay more consistent with their monthly updates, they're going to dial it back to just security patches and minor bug fixes. Moving to the back, you see that iconic Pixel camera bar that houses the 50 megapixel main camera with OIS, 48 megapixel ultra wide, and a 48 megapixel 5x telephoto. But I know that you know that if you're clicking on a Pixel video, then you're really not here for the hardware. So let's get right into it about the photos. First off, I was blown away by the amount of dynamic range coming out of these cameras. God, that Pixel makes you look good, don't it? And just look at the dynamic range. Look at the clouds, and then look at the shadows down here, and you still see the detail. It's just incredible how well it works. And this is the selfie cam. It really is some of the best I've ever seen coming out of a phone, thanks to what Google is calling dual exposure. Add that with some insane new features on the software side, and you have an absolutely incredible camera system that can spoil you in a heartbeat. There were a few times that it looked a little over sharpened and others when it seemed a little flat. I guess it all just comes down to personal preference. Here are a few shots I took of the Halloween decorations downtown. The colors are vibrant and punchy. There's detail and clarity in the shadows and highlights, and the resolution is incredible. When you switch into Pro mode, you have the option of choosing between 12 or 50 megapixels by tapping the settings icon in the bottom left. Or if you want more manual control, you can tap the bottom right to gain access to shutter speed, ISO, and focus control. These settings are only available on the 8 Pro, hence the Pro settings. There's also a new camera UI that looks clean and easier to switch between modes. Portrait mode from the front 10 megapixel camera is quite impressive with subject separation. Here I took a selfie in front of this brick wall so that we can get a better idea of how good the edge detection is, and I really don't have any complaints. There's a few stray hairs that got caught in the blur, but it's still incredible. Here's the same shot with the Samsung for comparison, and here's another with a more scenic background. And here's one at night to show the low light performance. Low light with the main camera is equally impressive, though I did find it to be a little annoying that almost every shot was a long exposure that had a timer that said hold still. This happened whether I was in 12 or 50 megapixels. Then afterwards it would take a second or two before the final image was processed. Not a deal breaker, but if you were trying to get multiple shots, this could be annoying. This wouldn't be a Pixel review if we didn't talk about some of the camera software. New to the Pixel 8 is something they're calling Best Take. This is when you take multiple shots of a group, you can switch through each of their faces until you find the best one to use, being that it's incredibly difficult to get a group photo without someone blinking or looking away. Another new feature is the Magic Editor. This allows you to take subjects in the frame and recompose them or make them smaller or larger. It does okay. I didn't play around with it too much, but I could see it being perfect for doing things like creating thumbnails. Video can go all the way to 4K 60 whether you're recording front or rear, and the built-in audio I found to be extremely usable. Alright, so this is the audio test of the Pixel 8 Pro. So right here walking in the park, there's some kind of event going on, and we're right here on the bank of the river, so there's a steady breeze going. I figured this would be a good opportunity to test the wind reduction in the software of video mode in the Pixel 8 Pro. But just in case there is a lot of background noise, you now have Audio Magic Eraser that uses AI to remove any unwanted noise from your audio. Particular reason, and that's because I wanted to test out the Audio Magic Eraser. And I want to be able to see how much of that I can dial out. I haven't used it yet. This will be the very first clip, so I really am interested in knowing how well it works. But I mean, look how good that looks. That's just absolutely incredible. I am blown away. Now, I will say that as far as like portrait mode goes, I do think the S23 Ultra has it beat marginally with edge detection, but the skin tones, it just looks a little over sharpened on the Pixel 8. I'm not sure. Bear with me. So I started to do this test yesterday at about 5:30, but I figured that'd be way too much traffic. For now, this is not going to be better than, say, a wireless lav or shotgun mic, but it will certainly get the job done, especially for social media. I'm a huge fan of having all sorts of tools to get the best result. And as far as I can tell, whether you have a Pixel 8 Pro, Samsung S23 Ultra, or an iPhone, they're all going to do very well in all of these categories. I mean, how cool is it that we can reach into our pocket and pull out a phone, a video and photo camera that records good audio and then can send it directly to someone or post it on socials? It's pretty far out, man, and with AI getting better and better, it's only going to keep improving in quality. As someone who loves photography, it really is like a double-edged sword. I want my skills to be valued and useful, but at the same time, I want anyone to be able to love and enjoy the craft. I know I didn't go too deep into what these cameras can do, and that's because I've been working on a comparison video. So if that's something that you're into, take a second to make sure that you're subscribed. And if you found this helpful, don't forget to give it a thumbs up. And if you've enjoyed this one, then maybe you'll enjoy this video that YouTube's recommended to you. Well, that's going to do it for this one. If you're interested in picking up the Pixel 8 Pro, I will leave an affiliate link in the description below. As always, take care of yourselves. You know you deserve it. I'm Donnie B, and we'll see you on the next one. Peace.